Hello and welcome to Experiencing Love. I'm your host, Philip Jocks, and I'm so glad that you're here. Still feels weird to hop on in front of the camera. So to make it a little easier on myself, I'm just treating it like any other podcast that I'm recording. I'm not worrying about the camera. I'm not worrying about how I look or what I'm doing. I'm just focusing on speaking from my heart, as always. As I was trying to set this up, I was having one of those moments where it just kind of feels like the world or the universe just wants you to take a moment, take a beat, look around, see what's going on, compose yourself. For whatever reason, the recording software that I use for recording this footage just decided to completely crap out on me. And I couldn't see anything. It wasn't filming right. And at first I was like, is this a sign for me just to not record today? But I know that's not true. I meant to record every day. Every day this year there will be a recording. So instead I chose the meaning. I chose to view it as I just have to take a minute to think. Take a minute to feel. Just relax and solve the problems one by one as they come. Honestly, I think I've been facing a bit more burnout than I initially thought I was. Now that I look at it, it has been a while since my last burnout, honestly. I've been doing pretty well for a while. And I also know that I go through these flows. I go through these patterns where towards the end of the month, I see my energy dip a little bit. And usually that's a sign for me to take a break and recharge. It's not take a full break, but it's go a little lighter on myself. At the beginning of May, I was doing a lot in terms of creative projects. I was all over the place putting my efforts in so many different areas, whether it had to do with social media or AI or automation or this podcast, writing the book, and that gets to me. It does. I haven't built up that muscle in me just yet where I'm able to be an extreme powerhouse for weeks, if not months at a time. I get that term or the idea of an extreme powerhouse by all of these, we'll call them gurus on social media, all talking about the 5 things they do every day, the 10 things they do to guarantee success, whatever their lists are. And they do all these things so that they can work 10 to 12 hours in their projects or their business. And I used to believe something along the lines of it's unrealistic to put that on anyone. It's unrealistic to put that on myself. But as I looked at it, I think it's more a matter of building a muscle and building strength, building stamina and endurance. And that these people who talk about doing this have no doubt built that up in themselves. I have no doubt that they have skills that they weren't born with, they learned, and then they practiced and they grew. I think a lot of these people who have that 6th gear really train that within themselves. And I choose to believe this so that I can believe that I can have that gear too. In truth, I do know I have that next level. I just know that mine doesn't last as long as I wish it did. I could get into that gear for a couple days, maybe a week at a time. And when I go into those modes, I know that there's a deep crash at the end of it. Like I use up all of my energy. My focus is depleted. My brain function is all but gone. And it takes me a couple days to recoup. So I often don't go into that zone, at least not for long periods at a time, because I don't want to take myself out for a couple days. I guess I've been looking at more of a balanced approach where I work for a few days at a time and then take maybe only one day off. I'm seeing now that in trying this, I still get to a point where I need to take at least 2 to 3 days off. Although I've been going really easy on myself lately, I still haven't done that for myself. Because I recognize that for me to do that for myself, it requires a mindset even going into it. I've noticed that when I have a lighter day and I don't do as much in the day, but at the beginning of the day, I had the intention of doing some level of work. Well, my mind stays on work. My mind stays on what I should be doing or what I could be doing. And so, although my body's getting a rest, my mind does not. And then I often do the opposite right after that, which is my mind is still so exhausted, it's asking for that rest. So I go out and I do some menial tasks, some what I like to call brain empty tasks or pastimes where I don't have to think, but my body's working. I learned the hard way that when I do that, it is not considered a real break for me. And when I say for me, I mean for everything I have going on. Mind, body, spirit, whatever we want to call it. I find that I need a day to put all rest all together and just do recovery. I'm talking stuff like going for a chill walk, not timing it, not tracking the distance or anything, or meditating, or just doing some reading throughout the day. Small things that are very deliberately meant for recovery. And the way I found this out was last November, I took things way too far. I had just come off of doing an event, participating as a crew member. I was in high spirits, high energy for 5-6 days in a row. Like I mentioned, that peak performance. I can get into that gear. There were multiple days that I was on less than 5 hours of sleep each day, on my feet for 16, 17, 18 hours. And throughout it all, I had no complaints. I loved being there. I loved what I had going on. And I believed that after doing that for the 5 or 6 days of the event, that I could just return back into my life and everything would be back to normal. I knew I needed to rest, and I did exactly what I mentioned before. I took that first day to kind of rest my mind. Scratch that. I took the first day to rest my body, but my mind was still going the whole time. And then the day after that, I did a bunch of physical work, and I tried to rest my mind when in fact I wasn't really resting. So I had those 2 days. I was under this false assumption that I'm recovered, I'm doing great, let's keep going, hurrah. And about 3 days later, still riding this, honestly, the best way I could describe it is a high. I was super productive, super high spirits. My mind and my body completely drained, completely depleted. I had nothing left. And it was that night, about 4 or 5 days after the event ended, I guess, that I went into a complete panic mode. And when I say panic mode, I mean, I think this is the first and only time, maybe not the first and only time, but the first time in a long time that I experienced a very heavy panic attack. And it was more like back to back to back to back panic attacks, because I would just go off the rails and then just kind of calm down for a sec, but then panic again and then relax and then panic again. And it was a rough few hours. I don't know if that's considered one panic attack or multiple. Doesn't matter to me, really. What matters more is I was in pain. My body and my mind were screaming for help. And the thing is, at the time, especially with the topics and the function of the event and everything that we learned and practiced, I was all about staying in state and keeping my energy high. So my brain was very confused as to why I was even panicking. I couldn't even fathom what was going on. I remember rapidly looking for a solution as to how do I stop? How do I stop panicking? How do I stop panicking? And I remember doing a bunch of different things I found and heard from other people and the different tools I used at the time. So I started journaling, and I tried meditating, and I tried breathing exercises, and I had a friend recommend getting into an ice cold shower to kind of shock myself out of it. And nothing worked. I just remember breaking out into tears and wondering, what am I doing? What's going on? All of my beliefs were kind of not exactly shattering, but were definitely being doubted. I guess what I was experiencing was this trembling of my identity. Like, it wasn't a shattering, but I didn't know who I was for a couple hours. I didn't know who I was, what I was doing, and it took me about 4 hours of this before I fully calmed down. I got on the phone with a dear friend of mine who helped talk me through it, helped ask me the questions I wasn't able to ask myself at the time because I was just so disheveled. By asking myself new questions, I got new answers, and the moral of the story was I didn't give myself a break. I pushed myself so far to the point that it's like I didn't even reach a burnout. It was just like a psychic attack. honestly. I don't know if a panic attack would be before or after burnout, but I felt it and it was painful. And I learned from that moment that maybe other people have stronger work hard muscles than I do. Maybe they just have more endurance than I do. Whatever the case, I learned to listen to my body. I learned to listen to my mind because it's no joke. I'm no help to anybody if I let myself get to a point where I can't get out of bed. I'm no help to anybody if I push myself too far past, I don't even want to call them my limits, because I do believe in pushing your limits, just not so far that there's no going back. Now that I think about it, one other time I remember feeling something like this was summer of 2022, and I was studying abroad, and I was slowly coming to the realization, it was dawning on me that my major was not something I wanted to study anymore, and that I didn't know what I wanted to study. I didn't know what I wanted to switch to, and I started considering that maybe I may have to drop out of college, or I wasn't even thinking about that yet. It was more so just questioning, what am I doing? Where am I going? Only now do I look back and realize that, oh, I was simply experiencing an identity shatter. I find that these attacks that I have usually only come when they have something to do with a huge shift in my identity and a huge shift in who I am, and getting to a point where I can't doubt or I can't collect the evidence fast enough to support the identity I have for myself. Like when something comes up in my life and it goes against everything I believed about myself, I have to make a rapid choice to either shift my identity or find new evidence to support my old identity. I have to figure out which one is more valuable in that moment, who I am or who I need to become. None of it is ever easy, and those are the times I always rely on the people around me for help, and even still, it can hurt to go through, and yet I'm grateful for each time that I have gone through it, because I've become a bigger person on the other side. Either I've become more secure, more stable in my identity, or I found a new identity that supports me and my goals even better. I've been through a lot. We all have. I appreciate going through these challenges because it also gives me extra perspectives that I can use to help other people. When I see myself struggle and have challenges, especially in areas where I've never had challenges before, I'm able to appreciate other people and their struggles. I always like to believe and understand that no matter what I've been through, I may not have even scratched the surface of what someone else has been through. So rather than judge or assume or act like I know what's going on with someone else, I can just sit and listen and go into it with the mindset that they are going through something completely different to what I'm going through. They have a different human experience. And when I expand that to the person I'm listening to, I can also expand that to maybe the person that they're talking about. If they're having trouble with another person, I expand it as far as I have to go to say, hey, we don't have all the answers, but here's what I think is going on. Here's what I believe could be happening. And I may not always be right. Hey, honestly, I'm probably mostly wrong. But if I'm wrong, I think it's also because we're all mostly wrong and we're all figuring this out. And the one thing I could be certain of is that whether I'm right or wrong, I'll learn and I'll grow. What I do know is that because of everything I've experienced and learned so far, I've been able to help a lot of people. I've been able to share insights that have helped them on their journeys, on their paths. I've been told that the insights that I provide people have helped them through many, many difficult times. And it isn't because I have all the right answers. It's because something that I say points to the right answers within the person I'm talking to. I truly believe you have the right answer already. The right answer is in your possession to whatever is going on for you. But maybe it's hidden. I like to believe we always have the answer, but it's like a crowded room, or let's call it an attic filled with old stuff, right? You can go upstairs and you can look through all the stuff in your attic, and eventually you will find exactly what you're looking for. But what I do is I come with you to your attic. You give me a picture of what you're looking for, and not only will I go up there with you, but I'll bring a flashlight and I'll point it in a few directions where I think it might be. So now you have two people trying to solve one problem, and ultimately things get done faster. I guess I'm just trying to explain a little bit more about what I do and what my offer is. If you have anything you're unsure about, if you have any uncertainty about any area in your life, I just want to talk. Hop on a call with me and let me share with you what I know. Let me help point the flashlight in your attic towards your answer. At the very least, I guarantee you'll learn more than you did 12 hours ago. Or should I say, you'll know more about yourself than you did 12 hours ago. So what could it hurt? And here we are, another episode done. I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm recording. I want to say thank you for being here and thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. It means more than you know. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Remember to always fill up with the love. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I love you. How does it actually pop up on YouTube? Yeah.